Hi everyone, today we will be creating this slider component where you can define two images and you can reveal or hide one of them. This can be really fun as just a project or even implement it on your website. Please tune in and let me show you how it's done. Let's start by setting up our application. We're going to use Next.js with TypeScript and Tailwind. You can go through the setup here. I will just call it comparison slider. Yes, lint, Tailwind, source directory app, and that should be good to go. Now let's open VS Code and let's get started. So first I will clean up the homepage, remove all the boilerplate we have. So you can just remove all of it. And I will also, I will adjust the styling later if needed. So let's get started by creating our component. So I will create a new folder for it, and inside that I will call it slider, and just create a file index.tsx. For this component we will use the use client directive, and we're gonna import some dependencies. We know for sure we're gonna need the next image, and let's start by defining our component. First I will create a wrapper div that will be on whole component. I'm gonna add some styling, so I want it to be take the full width and have relative position. And inside this, we're gonna have another div. So this div will be the wrapper around our images. So we will use it mainly to adjust the size of the images and make it responsive. So to do that, I will also set relative full width. For now, I'm just gonna add max width 700 pixel, and I'm also gonna set custom aspect ratio for the images I want to use. Margin auto because I want to center it, and I'm gonna hide any overflow I have. And then we can get started by adding the images. So first, I'm gonna place the image that will be on the right side at the end. And I'm gonna have another image, but that's gonna be wrapped inside a div again. And you will see why. So for the first image, I'm gonna use this image source. Now we use this for the second image. Now let's add some other properties. I'm just gonna ignore the alt text for now. Add the fill and priority flags to them. So this will make it a bit more responsive and take up the space available, and also ensure that they are loaded first. Same on this. Now before we check to see how it looks like, let's not forget to import it. So imported the slider component, and now we are planning to allow this domain in my next config. Images, domains. That should be it. We might need to restart the server. Yep. Okay, seems to be working. It's responsive for now, and you can also see that we have both images loaded on top of each other. That's what we want. So there's one image there, and there is another one in the back. So let's get started with adding a bit of responsivity and styling to it. So let's go back to our slider component, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna define a property called slider position. Set slider position for now, so this is gonna show where one image starts and the other one ends. And if you put it 50, we're gonna use it as percentage. So that will mean that it's gonna be in the middle of the component. And now let's use this property to add some styling to it. So in the div that we created as the wrapper of the second image, we're gonna add some styling. So it's gonna be absolute position, top 0, left 0, right 0, full width, max width again, same aspect ratio, margin, auto, overflow, hidden. And now let's look at the component. Oh yeah, I forgot one key part. Is we also gonna add a style property. So for this, we're gonna use the clip path property, and we're gonna insert our image. So the first attribute is the y coordinate, the second is the x coordinate, and we want to use that. So here we're gonna say 100% minus slider position. So in this case, it's gonna be 50%. But as you drag, it's gonna recalculate percentage 0, 0. And that should be it. Might have missed something. Oh yeah, maybe I don't need this comma. Yes. So now if you can look at it, I didn't manage to get an image from the exact same angle, so you can see the bridge looks a bit weird, but this is as close as I managed to get. So now we managed to display the two images. Now the only thing we need to do is actually add the button or anything in the middle that we can click on and we can interact with it. So we can move this slider or this breakpoint between the two images. So first, let's add the button itself. So after this div, we can add another div. And inside that div, we can have another div. So the first one, we're gonna add some custom styling to it. So this again is gonna be absolute position, top 0, bottom 0. You can edit a tiny bit of width. You can increase, decrease, change the color. I'm just doing the bare minimum to showcase for now. And we can add the cursor east, west, to resize. So this will give us a nice, you can see that if you hover over, it indicates that you can resize to the side. So now let's center this. So we need to center this and then also can add the functionality to move. We also gonna add the style property here too. So what we can do is left, and we're gonna calculate the position. So it's gonna be slider position as a percentage minus 1 pixel, and instead the inner div, we're gonna this just gonna be a small dot in the center of the line, so it makes it a bit more obvious that you can drag. So let's add the classes to it. So again, it's gonna be background white, absolute position, fully rounded, a bit of height, a bit of width, kind of center it, and we're gonna add the top So we're gonna center the top by calculating 50% minus 5 pixel, and it's not working. Yep, so I just need to remove the spaces in between. So now if you look at it, we can click on it or hover over it, but it's still not doing anything. Before we get to the functionality, there is one important thing I want to fix. So for example, if you try to click and hover now, you see that the image gets selected. So I'm gonna add the class to not allow that for a bit nice UX. I'm gonna add select none to this, and that should help. And I also need to add it to the other image. Select none. Yep, perfect. So let's get started with the interactivity. We have two options here. You can implement it. So I will start with that. So you can just hover over the component. You don't need to click, and it will follow your cursor. And after that, we can add a flag to it that it only moves if you drag the line. So you can click on it, drag, let go, and it's not gonna move from there. So we're gonna have both options here. Start by creating a function called handle move. This will accept an event as an argument, which is going to be a mouse event. And because we use divs, it's going to be a div element and the mouse event. First, we're gonna try to get the size of the current item. So we can do that by defining this. So the current target dot get bounding client rect. And after that, we can get the x position by calculating it at .min event.client x minus rect.left rect.width. And lastly, we can convert this into percentage. So we know as you move relative to the parent element, we know exactly how many percentage it is, so we can drag to that point. So we can hide 33% of the other image, for example, and also use that to move the cursor and so on. So the percent, that's gonna be math.max, math.main x divided by the width multiplied by 100. And the last thing we are going to do is we are setting the slider position to the percent we got. Now, the next thing we're gonna do is we can actually use this function. So you can select the div, the second div we created, on mouse move and handle mouse move. Okay, let's see if it works. So now you can see that I'm not clicking or anything, but it follows my cursor as I hover over. If I leave, it's not gonna try to get outside of the boundaries. So it knows where it ends. So the next thing we are going to do is, if you want to use it just like this, you can. But for now, I'm gonna add in another flag that it will only move if you actually click on it. So we're gonna do that by defining a new property called dragging, or let's say is dragging, set is dragging, use state, and the default is false, and define two new functions. You really don't need functions for this, but I do like to define every function for visibility. So under mouse down, and also you might add other functionality in here. Under mouse up, and here just set dragging false, and when you click on it, we enable dragging. And also in the handle move, if you're not dragging, we don't do anything, we just return. Okay. Now on the main component, I'm gonna define the on mouse up. And on the children, the first div, I'm gonna define the on mouse down. And that should be it. Let's see. So you can see it's not moving, but if I click and drag, it works. And let's say I drop it here, I move away, and it's stopping. So yeah, that should be it. Let me know if this was useful in any way for you, or if I managed to teach you something you didn't see before. If you liked the video, please drop a like and subscribe, and leave a comment if there is any topic you would like me to cover in the next video. And thanks for tuning in.